Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery. So in our today's video, we are going to be discussing something that is so vital and so important when it comes to your inner process and learning how to navigate your anger, learning how to navigate your rage, and understanding when are you reacting out of a part of you and you are unconscious of it, and then that part of you is actually dictating what's then happening. What is the difference between that and being grounded in your core and then speaking for a part of you if you need to have some sort of protection or if you need to create some sort of boundary for yourself? So what is the difference between basically blending with one of your parts and reacting unconsciously compared to working with one of your parts, grounding into your central self, and basically speaking for that part of you to create a boundary or to create distance from someone and to show that you can protect yourself in a healthy way without that energy running your system. All right. This is really what we're going to be speaking about in this today's video. So if any of you are struggling with anger issues, if any of you deal with rage and don't really understand how to work with it and how to navigate it, I believe that this video is going to offer you a ton of value because I'm going to be going into very much depth with everything it is that you truly need to know about this subject. Now, even if you're someone that struggles with accessing some of these protective parts of you and has trouble creating boundaries or has trouble standing up for yourself, this video is also going to be offering you a ton of value. So if this is something that you are interested in, then I would highly recommend you stay tuned, and I will see you on the other side. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So we're talking about how do we work with our part that experiences anger, that experiences rage, and potentially is experiencing high levels of hatred towards a specific person or towards an experience, a group of people, whatever it is. There are many of us that are afraid of our own anger and want to repress it and keep it down because it has caused a lot of damage or it has caused a lot of trouble in our daily life because we didn't understand it and we didn't know how to work with it. And then maybe there's certain situations that we've also been in where this anger and this rage has been shamed within us. Maybe it's been judged within us, whether it's from our parents or friends or coworkers or just strangers. And then we learn to sort of lock it away inside of a cage and keep it down so that no one can see it. And we start to label it as a bad emotion or a bad part of us. So we have that side of things, and then we have people that are once again basically being overrun by this part of themselves. And then that anger and that rage and that hatred ends up causing them to do things and make decisions that are not in their best interest and lead to more damage within the system or lead to different types of consequences. So how do we really get to work with this? And how do we really get to understand what's truly taking place within our system? Well, the first place that we want to start with this is we want to start with the reality that there are no bad parts that you have inside of you. Even the one that's filled with hatred, anger, and rage, this part of you that experiences these emotions and that floods your nervous system with these feelings and even thoughts even, this is not a bad part of you. This is a sacred part of you that is there for a reason, and it needs love just as much as all of the other parts of you. So we want to first start there with realizing just because you have anger, rage, hatred, want to get revenge, these are not bad parts of you. This is just a wounded part of you that once again needs your attention, okay? But what we want to understand is we want to understand that yes, this part of us, if it is unconsciously blending with our nervous system, which means it's overriding our nervous system, and then it's operating as us, or if it's assuming our identity, that's when this can cause a lot of damage in our life, because then this part is going to be doing things that may not be the healthiest things to do because it's reacting from that pent up or from that built up energy. So I want you to know that there is a very big difference between a part of you blending with your system and acting as you, between you being grounded in you and recognizing the part of you and then speaking for that part. So the value and the benefits of this part of you is the fact that it wants to protect you. It's going to try to keep you safe. It's going to use its anger, its rage, it's going to create boundaries because it wants to protect you. And these are some of the positive benefits of this energy. When someone's crossing a boundary, it gets to withhold that boundary. When you get frustrated because someone's hurting another person that doesn't deserve it, or if someone's trying to do it to you, you know how to stand up for yourself and you know how to be firm and direct to show that person that they're not able to continuously do this to you. Okay, when certain things take place in your life that are just frustrating things, this can also be a healthy expression of just that natural anger of what you're experiencing. And this is all very important because every single emotion and sensation inside of the body is valid and it matters. So getting in tune with those sensations, connected to these emotions, is important to start processing what's underneath. Now, when we add this deeper layer to it and understand that there are parts of us within our systems, then we can start working with these parts of us. So just like we looked at some of the benefits and some of the values of this part of you, what are some of the negatives and what are some of the ways that this part of you can get you in trouble or can hurt you? Well, let's say someone triggers you and then this part of you comes online and you're not aware that you even have parts. So then it blends with your nervous system, and this part of you now assumes your identity. It assumes who you are. And you allow that to happen because you're not aware to know that this is just a part of you. So when it blends with your nervous system, now you lash out or you react unconsciously to whatever it was that triggered you. So now you're basically in attack mode. I have to hurt this thing. I have to attack this thing. I have to go after this thing. Because remember, this part is trying to protect you. But sometimes this part of you can protect you in ways that you don't need to be protected. And that's where it's important to understand the difference of the benefits of this part, but also the potential negatives of this part as well. And overall, every single part of you is going to need to go through a process of realizing who you are at your core, as your central self, as the soul and the spirit existing within the body, observing all of your different parts. Because whenever a part of you starts to blend with your nervous system, that part of you is taking on a role and a responsibility that it should not have to take on. Because, you know why? Because these parts of you are connected to your wounded inner child. So these are parts of you that are taking on parental responsibilities by blending with your nervous system because you're not being the parent to yourself that you need to be. And we have to start building this new relationship with our parts, reparenting them, showing them that we can be that healthy leader for our whole system. So you definitely don't want, let's say, a 7-year-old angry, rage-filled, hating part of you running your life unconsciously. But what we do want to understand is that this part of you was developed for a reason based on what you went through in the past. So it has validity to what it experiences and what it feels, and it just wants to keep you safe, and there is even value in what it brings to the table. Because if someone is going to cross a boundary with you, that's an okay place to potentially experience some of that rage or some of that anger and create a boundary in a healthy way. So once again, what I'm saying is we don't want the part to speak as us. We want to speak for the part. so that we can be grounded at our core and observe this part of us and what it's potentially advising us or what it's giving to us on an emotional, sensational memory level, and what it's asking us to do to create safety within our system so that we can handle it from a grounded space inside of ourselves. We don't want it to unconsciously have to blend with us and take over and then get us into problems or fights that lead us to jail, okay, that cause us to say things that we don't really mean just because we're in the heat of the moment. Have you ever heard someone say that before? I was in the heat of the moment and I said things that I didn't mean. That's because someone was blended with their part and the part spoke for them rather than them speaking for the part. Because when you're grounded in your core and you're understanding your inner system, when these parts of you are experiencing triggers, it is quite often that they're going to want to come and blend with you. But the more we're working with our parts and the more we're understanding ourselves and we're feeling through emotions and we're recognizing the sensations of these emotions and we're willing to connect with, whatever memories naturally come up for us, the more we're recognizing the separation that we have between ourself and our parts. So we're able to see it from a different angle, basically. And we get to decide how we're going to respond. We get to decide how we're going to move forward with the situation rather than just letting the part do it for us. And then that allows this part of you to relieve its role. It doesn't want to have to do that because, once again, this is a part of your inner child. For all that we know, this could be a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6, 7-year-old part of you that blends with you and has been running your life, trying to keep you safe. And it doesn't want to have to do that. It doesn't want to have that responsibility, but we have to bring self to the parts. And that's going to require going into trauma. It's going to require building an awareness of emotions that are getting triggered in your body and allowing yourself to feel them, and then connecting with the sensations that are behind those emotions. And then through that, it's a daily practice of showing ourselves that we are willing to honor our inner system. We are willing to feel. We're willing to sense our sensations. We're willing to change our lifestyle so that we can live in a healthier way, to give time to check in with our system and be with our system and show our parts that it's safe because we are in charge, because we are the leaders of our system. But every time we're jumping into unhealthy relationships, every time we're using substance abuse, every time we're keeping ourselves distracted from giving ourselves room to feel, to be in tune with sensations, we're communicating to our whole inner circuitry that we are not a leader of our own system and that all of our parts are not safe. So this is when we have all of our different protective parts of us very active, trying to keep us safe. But once again, they're doing it in ways that oftentimes is not healthy for us because that's all they know how to do. They don't know any better. So it's the combination of feeling emotions, connecting with sensations, and reforming a foundation of lifestyle that supports you being healthy and supporting your whole system and giving your system time and energy as if it is sacred to be connecting with, because it is. So once again, when we're dealing with this anger and this rage and this hatred, this isn't necessarily your core that experiences that, or your deepest central self, because your central self understands the connectedness of all things and understands that everything happens for a reason and is much more willing to just let things go and be an observer. But the part of you that is experiencing that very likely is experiencing that for a reason. There's a validity behind why you're angry, why you're mad. So let's not just push it down and bury it and repress it and say, you shouldn't be here. Let's not take another part of us and then use that part to suppress our anger part, because now we're in a part warfare where we got one part of us that shoves down our anger part, and now our anger part is mad at that part, and that part gets upset at that part, and then what does that cause? It just causes an inner discord within the system. And that inner discord is going to find ways to literally manifest in the world around you through other people that are going to reflect your internal family system. They're going to reflect your parts. That's how significant and powerful this stuff is. So let's validate what we're experiencing and what we're feeling, because there are many positive reasons why you should be feeling mad, why you should be feeling rage, why you should be feeling upset. And find a way to allow yourself to express that anger or to use that anger to protect your system in a healthy way. Don't just show that part that it's worthless and that it shouldn't be there. Show that part that I see you're there. I have compassion that you're showing up. What is it that you're trying to communicate with me? Because maybe this part will tell you, yeah, hey, this person doesn't have your best interest in mind. Hey, this person is crossing your boundaries here. Hey, this person is not safe for you. Get a little bit upset, say something, be firm. And then you can, communicate with that part of you, recognize it and say, you know what? Thank you for bringing that to my awareness. Thank you for giving me these feelings that are allowing me to stand up for myself. And now I'm going to handle it myself. I don't need to go up to the person and attack them or, go into this crazy rage and say things I don't mean or do things I don't want to do, but I can be firm, feeling that emotion, knowing it's connected to a part of me and say, hey, I don't appreciate this. I'm going to need you to stop. Hey, this is not what we're going to be doing moving forward. Hey, if you're going to be acting or behaving this way, then I'm not going to have room for you to be in my life. So I'm going to need you to leave, or I'm going to have to leave. Right? This would be an example of using this energy in a healthier way. And this could be extremely transformative for you guys, for you ladies and gentlemen. Okay, because imagine how many people, when they get triggered by something, just blend with that part and then rage and then say things they don't mean, do things they don't mean, get in trouble afterwards. And then guess what? Then you have another part of you that then shames you for what you just did. So once again, it comes down to the different parts of us in general, and oftentimes the discord that some of our parts have with each other. You end up saying the things you don't mean, and then you give yourself time to calm down, you return a little bit more to yourself, and then a part of you comes in and shames you. Why did you say those things? You shouldn't have said those things. And then you have that guilt part of you that starts guilt tripping you. So rather than having to go through all of that, let's just acknowledge this part of us, feel what it's feeling, sense the sensation of where it's manifesting, and then let's communicate for the part, as if the part is an advisor to us. And we're the leader that gets to decide how it is that we are going to be moving forward with that energy. Okay, that's the key. And once again, for those of you that have a hard time feeling your anger and expressing your anger, I want you to know that that is hurting that part of you. That is locking that part of you in a cage, and that part of you is going to find ways to try to get your attention. So for those of you that have a hard time expressing your anger, guess what kind of people you're going to be attracting all the time? You're going to be attracting probably upset people or people that are run by their anger. The complete opposite polarity of what you're doing within your own system, because that part of you that you're locking down is finding ways to manifest that resonance in your external reality to get you back in touch with who you are and to get you back in touch with what's going on in your system. All right? So, with this education, you can start creating a healthier foundation and a lifestyle that allows you to visit these emotions and to have the courage to experience them and to feel them. Sensation and emotion. This is absolutely key. Foundation that supports you feeling sensations and emotions, and then recognizing your parts. So that when you're sensing and you're feeling, you can also recognize, okay, this is connected to this part of me. And I get to build a relationship with this part of me simply by feeling. And that will give you more room to ground into your central self to be a better guide or to be a better leader for all of your different parts. Because most of us are unconsciously blending with our different parts and we're not even aware of it. Now, another layer of this is the reality that these protective parts, so this anger, rage, frustrating part of you, it's only trying to protect you because there's another vulnerable part inside of you that part of you is trying to protect. So basically what I mean by this is there's very likely this vulnerable part of you that's been repressed for a long time, that's maybe really afraid, maybe really scared, maybe really sad, very vulnerable, and potentially very innocent. And this anger and this rage part of you is protecting that vulnerability. So that's why it gets so upset. That's why it gets so angry. Not because it wants to hurt you, not because it's trying to cause damage in your life, but because it's trying to protect this vulnerability. But when you get to unburden that part of you from that responsibility, and then you get to say, you know what, I'm going to connect with that vulnerability. I'm going to take the reins within my own system, and I'm going to give myself the time and energy I need to heal this wound by showing this protective part of me that it doesn't need to be that active. It can take a step aside. So it doesn't need to get triggered at absolutely everything because it thinks everything's not safe. And then I can give myself that time in that room to connect with this vulnerability in my system. Then I can unburden that vulnerability. I can feel the emotions and the sensations of this vulnerable part of me. I can integrate that into my nervous system. That part of me that's feeling that pain can then move out of where it is, stuck in the past, and it can come with me in the present moment, and it can unburden itself. It can experience life in a different way because I'm visiting it and giving it room to heal. And then my system gets to drastically change. And then that protective, angry, aggressive-filled, rage-hating part of me will completely, most likely, take on a completely different role because it no longer has the need to protect that vulnerability because I healed that vulnerability. I connect with that vulnerability, and I'm bringing that vulnerability to the present moment so that it knows that it's safe and it doesn't need to carry that pain anymore. So then that protective part takes on a whole new role, and guess what? Now you get to live life not getting triggered in the same way ever again. You get to live life not being run by your triggers and not being controlled by this angry, aggressive, hate-filled part of you. But it takes time, and this is a process that you have to go through that requires patience, and it requires a commitment to yourself in this entire process that it is that I'm describing here. All right? But hopefully from this video, this was able to give you some extra understanding and extra perspective on what's going on within your nervous system in relationships to the parts of you, in relationship to this feeling of anger, rage, and hatred. Okay, hopefully now you have more of a basis to be able to work with this energy in your system, to recognize it when it shows up, and to learn how to honor it so that you can truly live the life that you came here to live, and so that you can have more autonomy for being connected with your core. All right, so with that being said, this is where I'm going to wrap the video up. If this was something that offered you value, slam the thumbs up button, drop down in the comment section, and let me know what you learned from this. I would love to hear your perspective. I would love to hear what you picked up from what it is that I'm speaking about. So go ahead and share that with me. Also, let me know if this is something that you struggle with, and how are you working with it as well. Okay? Hit the notification bell and get notified whenever I post, because I'm posting every single day. So make sure you tap in, you take advantage of it. I make a lot of intuitive content that I promise is going to come to you at the right time. Now also subscribe to my YouTube channel, because by subscribing, you are further energetically connecting to everything it is that I'm teaching. So if you want to tap in, I would encourage you to do so. All right. Copy and paste this link and send it to someone that you feel like is going to gain value from this. If you know someone that needs to hear this, do them the favor and send the video to them. Okay, this could literally change someone's life just to have this little perspective change. I get people that tell me all the time that the content that I'm releasing is completely changing their lives because they're taking it into account and they're practicing it. And that's what really fulfills me, and that's what makes me happy at the end of the day. All right, now I'm going to take your awareness to the most important link within the entire description. It's the first link below. This is my Patreon. Now, on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive content. None of this content is on my public YouTube channel. I've put a lot of time and energy into creating this content and releasing it exclusively for the members. Everything is going to be organized into different collection sections from start to finish that you can literally follow through on. Okay, it basically takes you on a whole journey or a quest of really deep self-development, covering everything from spirituality to occultism, all the way down to trauma healing, regulating your nervous system, and working on the foundational principles. Some of those things that I mentioned today in this video, I go into more depth with on the Patreon. So I would highly encourage you to check it out. There's about 1,600 plus members that are actively signed up. So definitely make sure you tap into it. Tier number 3 and 4 is extremely unique. This is a ritual service that I perform on the 29th of every single month, and it is called the Universe B Ritual. Okay? What this is it is an energetic transfer from me to you as the receiving participant to initiate you into what is called Universe B, which is basically a shadow dimension that every single one of us is connected to as human beings. Even though we're all connected to it, a lot of us have a hard time gaining access to it. And it's in Universe B where we really get to face our deepest unconscious, and we get to build a relationship with our shadow and all of our different parts of ourselves that maybe we are unconscious of. So working with Universe B gives us room to heal deep-rooted trauma, integrate these repressed energies, release them from our system, ground more into the authentic self, and then as your energetic resonance changes, you can literally expect the world around you to change as well. It takes time and it requires a commitment to yourself through that process, but the ritual is an energetic initiation and a support to allow this to take place in your life. Similar to how when you take psychedelics, it gives you access to certain portions of your unconscious. This is very similar in nature, except it is energetic transfer, and there are differences. Now, I also have a crystal grid that is an advanced crystal grid that I put the intimate information of the participants inside of, and it also acts as a remote energetic transfer from the grid itself to the receiving participants. This is something that about 300 plus members are taking advantage of every single month. So if this is something you are interested in to support your process, I would recommend you look into it. First link below. We'll leave it there. Now in the second link below, okay, this is where you can book a one-on-one call with me, or you can jump into mentorships. This is the most intimate way to personally work with me. We're going to be going through your own unique trauma history. We're going to be creating a foundation for you to regulate your nervous system and to better process that trauma. And then once we have the foundation in place, we can start talking about occult initiation if that's something that you're interested in, because I can also guide you in a healthy way through that process as well. Currently, I work with people from all over the world. I have a completely full schedule, but if you book with me, I will absolutely find room to fit you in. And if for some reason there wasn't any room, then you would be the next person up that I would end up working with. Okay, all of that is in the second link. Now, in the same second link, you can book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She's a very gifted tarot card reader. She's extremely intuitive, and she can help you navigate your internal process and help you understand what's happening in the world around you in accordance to it, and then what to expect moving into your near future. So if this is something you resonate with, check it out, second link below. Okay, now in the fourth link, this is the YouTube memberships. This is where you get to join the Universal Mastery Collective family, and I would be more than happy to have you a part of it. Okay, we really are a family over here. We're a group of like-minded individuals that come together to support each other through this development process and, share our own experiences and just connect in that way. So I would love to have you a part of the family. Now, you're also going to get access to some early content releases, and you're going to get access to some exclusive content as well. So if this is something that resonates with you or interests you, fourth link below. And then the final link, this is the fifth link. This is some book recommendations for those of you that are interested in the deeper layers of spirituality. Check out those books. Okay, with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here. I appreciate all of you very, very, very much. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.